in competition, because of the natural adrenaline that you're gonna get, it's gonna be fast paced, super fast paced, and especially at the white belt level, almost no brain cells are activated at all. It's just go, because competition is very fast paced, and within the first grip up, you're gonna feel yourself and your opponent, they're gonna grip up tight. You know, I don't want to let you go because I don't want you to throw me. Right? Competition, you want to win. You're not gonna pay what, like $100 just to show up and lose. You know, you want to come to this competition. First of all, you want to prove to yourself that you know judo, but second of all, you want to win. Right? Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So if you didn't see that previous video that I dropped, you're probably coming here wondering, you know, what happened? Did I quit judo? Why haven't I uploaded it in more than half a year? I explain it in this video right here, so if you want to go check that out, feel free. But today's video, we're going to be talking about how do you prepare for your first judo competition. So for this video, I have 3 major points that I outline, and for me, I believe it's more so on not only in terms of like the physical preparation for a competition, but also like the mental aspect, where I believe these points can put you in a better headspace to compete. And again, like, this isn't going to be like a, you know, if you follow these points, you know, you're going to smash everybody, you're going to win. Not necessarily. It's more so it'll give you, maybe it gives you a little bit of an edge, but more so a better understanding of what you're walking into. So out of the 3 major points, we'll start off with the first one. First major point is knowing your why. Why is it that you want to compete? So, believe it or not, it's a pretty important question to ask, because there's 2 different paths that you can go down. Do you want to be competitive? You want to go to the like highest level of competition, you know? Do you want to go into, you know, your US Open, your nationals? From nationals, you would go into like the competition for the Americas. I'm blanking on the name. So, like, what is your goal? You want to be competitive, or do you want to be more recreational? You know, do you just kind of want to go into a competition and see how your training is faring up? Like, are you able to do what you've learned under pressure? Those are 2 very valid paths to go down, but it's very important to understand which path you want to go down. Now, why is it so important? Because it affects your preparation. It affects your, not only your preparation, but firstly, before that, it affects the competition that you pick. From my experience, depending on the competition, like the tournament that you sign up for, it's gonna dictate the type of competitors that show up. Regardless of whether or not you're walking into a novice division, it is pretty important. But a lot of these competitions, they're specifically outlined for, you know, beginners or people that really want to do it recreationally, opposed to some competitions that are advertised to be more competitive, where you do actually have, you know, I've been to competitions where you'll have a team coming from Canada, for example, some international competitors as well. So knowing your path, knowing your why, like why do you want to compete, it affects the competition that you'll sign up for. Then it'll directly bridge off to your preparation. It affects your preparation because if you want to be competitive in the sport, you know, you're going to prepare a certain amount of combinations, situational training. But if you're more so looking for a recreational support, maybe you're not looking to do a very intensive judo specific preparation, but more so cardio. You know, are you able to go on your runs? Are you able to show up for your Randori rounds? You know, not get tired, essentially. Now, this next point bridges off of the first point. After you know your why, how do you prepare? Regardless if you want to be very competitive or if you want to be more recreational, really doesn't matter. You should prepare a set of go-to combinations. You know, what is your go-to? Like, if you want to end the match quickly, this is the move that you're consistently training, you're consistently able to hit in the dojo, you have set up off of it. What are your go-to combinations? Now, that kind of bridges on to this other sub point that I have for preparing your go-to combinations, is kind of talking about analysis paralysis, or just kind of just overthinking, overcomplicating. The reason why I say, you know, learn 1 to 2 good, solid combinations is because if you're sitting here trying to perfect. It's like, okay, if he grabs me here, I want to be able to do a nagoshi from here. Oh, but like if he's like a taller guy, maybe I want to do ashiwaza on him. Maybe I want to do a lot of reaps. Oh, but like if he's, it gets very convoluted very quickly, and you'll see that. And I've seen a lot of guys, people that I train with, or just showing up to these competitions and just observing. You'll see like a lot of people freeze up. What happens if prepare? Oh, I have a really solid ogoshi. Like nobody could stop my ogoshi, but if you like hold me here, like set me up here, I will always throw you. Well, that's it's not really how it works. Some guys are just gonna have different grips. Some guys are gonna push you in a certain way that you've never been pushed before, and all of a sudden your mind goes blank. So this is why I say, learn 1 to 2 solid combinations in different scenarios, different grips. They've got different grips on you, and how you can open up your opponent to get thrown by your solid move. Like this is your Hail Mary. And also a really good point to add on top of, setting up your 1 to 2 good combinations is also, like I said before, training it in different grips, but also especially doing it on those 50-50s. Oftentimes, and like I find for myself as well, when, say for example, he's got an overgrip, I've got an undergrip, you're in this really tight 50-50 scenario, and you kind of have this like 2 to 3 second gap, especially at the novice level. You have a 2 to 3 second gap where you guys are just kind of like standing there, seeing who's gonna do the first move, because you're a little bit afraid, like, oh, what if I step the wrong way and then now he's gonna trip me up and I'm gonna fall. I admit a lot of the times I find myself in that situation, especially when I was a white belt. I would kind of freeze up and I'm like, like, do I do it now? Do I do it, do I do this and then set it up? So it's super easy to get lost in trying to get that perfect throw, opposed to moving to set up the perfect throw. Because oftentimes, you're not always going to be in this standstill, this 50-50, and then you get a huge throw. A lot of times you got to be moving. You got to force the guy to move in a way that you like, and then you take him out. So that's what I'm saying, train the 50-50 grips, train when you have dominant grip, train when they've got dominant grip on you. Get yourself out of the dominant grip, then you set up your throws. Okay, so now coming up on our third point. We've talked about mental preparation, knowing your why. We've talked about physical preparation. If you're going to be recreational, maybe you want to prepare a little bit more on the cardio aspect, do your runs, do your sprints, preparing your go-to combinations in different scenarios if you want to be very competitive. Now we're going to touch up on a point that hits both of those, both mental and physical. And for me, this point is important, especially for the beginners. If you're coming to your first competition, if you're going to be competing at white belt, is knowing the difference between Randori and competitive judo. Depending on the dojo that you train at, depending on the guys that you have, maybe you have older guys, maybe you have inexperienced guys, Randori sometimes can be a little bit slower. And slower can mean a couple different things. Either it's not as fast paced, or you guys aren't going at 100%. Obviously, you should never be going at 100% all the time. But maybe you're not going full output. Maybe you're going less than 50%. That's what I kind of mean by slower. Either you're taking down the speed, maybe going higher output, or taking down the output and just going higher speed and just trying to like see if you can catch each other. So Randori oftentimes can be slower and more methodical depending on your dojo and depending on the partner. A lot of times judo's a very physical sport. A lot of guys who show up with injuries, you don't want to kill your partner, because you kill your partner, you essentially kill your preparation for future competition. I have to word that a little bit differently. In competition, because of the natural adrenaline that you're gonna get, it's gonna be fast paced, super fast paced, and especially at the white belt level, almost no brain cells are activated at all. It's just go, right? So you could actually use that to your advantage if you're able to calm your own nerves, because competition is very fast paced, and within the first grip up, you're gonna feel yourself and your opponent, they're gonna grip up tight, you know. I don't want to let you go because I don't want you to throw me, right? So you could use that to your advantage. Prepare for that. Now, how do I mean? I remember one of the black belts at my dojo, I let him know that, you know, oh, I'm gonna be preparing for this first competition. I've got this competition on Sunday, you know. I wanted to know, you know, where I'm at. It was like, oh yeah, everything, like all your throws, you know, they're good, you know, they're solid for your level. I was like, you know, do you have any like competition specific tips that you can give me? I was like, oh, competition specific? It was like, oh, you're a white belt, never competed before? I'm like, no, I haven't competed. He goes, okay, watch this. You know, what do I want you to work on? This is what's gonna happen. The guy's gonna be in front of you. He's gonna be nervous. You know, the moment you bow, you know, you take the grip, you start shaking him, right? Why would you do that? You're new. He's probably new. He's got a white belt. Maybe he's got a yellow belt. Maybe he showed that he could do a goshi, sasai, all the like the basic moves. He showed he could do it. He gets a white belt, orange belt. But it's like relatively in competition. If you guys are a novice, both you guys are new. So as soon as you grip up, you start shaking him. Why is that? The moment you start shaking him, all of a sudden, every thought, every preparation in his mind is going to disappear. Well, you know, some people could look at that advice and be like, oh, you know, that's cheesy, that's not fair, that's not judo. Well, if you look at the history, Jigoro Kano, he didn't support competition. At least, I don't think. Maybe I'm a little bit wrong in my history, but from what I've read, he wasn't very supportive of competition. So already, you competing, you're kind of like going away from Jigoro Kano's philosophy or his vision. But ideally, you know, you want to go to competition, you want to win. You're not gonna pay what, like $100 just to show up and lose. You know, you want to come to this competition. First of all, you want to prove to yourself that you know judo. But second of all, you want to win, right? So how do you win? If it's your first competition, it's the other guy's first competition. When do you gotta go? You grip up, you shake him, and then you'll see like he'll pretty much just tighten up, and all the judo will be erased from his brain, and then that's when you work your stuff. So it's pretty simple to work it in the dojo. You know, you get, obviously, if you can, if it's accessible, a similar sized partner in your weight class, and practice. You know, you start your timer, you bow, you grip up, and then first have him start shaking you, see how you react. Like, ask him to, like, you know, let's go 70%, let's go 80%. You know, obviously without trying to hurt each other, or even you can take the throws out of it completely. You could just train the grip up scenario, or just change your grips. You know, fighting for dominant position, but have them go 70, 80, maybe 90%, and just have them shake you, have them tighten up their grip. Work, you know, try to either, I mean, obviously out muscling is not going to work because you're going to burn yourself out. But try to put some technique into it. If you have to, use a little bit of muscle. You know, in these competitions, you're gonna have 2, 3, at most, in my experience, 4 matches. So take what you can give, but just kind of test yourself. See how you react in that scenario. This guy grips up, maybe a little bit stronger than you. He starts shaking you. How do you react? Then practice. You know, you grip up, you start shaking him, and then you start to see what opens up for you. Oh, I shake him up like this, and maybe with my right hand lapel, I push his shoulder, and maybe he's a little bit off balance. Oh, maybe I could do a sasai. You know, maybe I could just lunge in for auchi, kauchi. Maybe I can drop down and do a drop seonage, seotoshi. You know, a lot of things open up, and that's what's so beautiful about judo, is that you can kind of play with it. You know, you have your partner, you guys train with each other often, you guys know each other's games. Make it situational training. What happens if he grips me up here? We play around, pop, pop, pop. Oh, look at that. I open up a throw. Pop, pop, pop. Oh, I show this. He steps around. Boom. Other throw. You know, it's not a very high level, but essentially what I'm saying is, like, you got to play around with it. You know, have somebody that's able to match your strength as close to 100% as possible with being safe, and just see how you react and see how somebody else will react when you put out that energy. Obviously, day of, maybe you have a little bit more nerves, maybe things change, but because you prepare in a certain way, you'll see that the moment you do the bow and you grip up, I'd hope, but most of the time, the nerves will just naturally go away. And then now you play your game. You play the game that you prepared for. It's not like you never did judo in your life, and then you just get thrown into the mat, and then, oh yeah, see what happens. No, you prepared for this. And through this preparation, you'll see. Maybe you end up getting a gold medal. Maybe you get a silver medal because you, for whatever reason, you faced a green belt. You know, that's what happened to me. You know, you do your best that you can because, again, you got to remember, this is your first competition. This is going to set up your future competitions. And that's why I sat down and I tried to think of, you know, these 3 major points. You think about your why. Do you want to be competitive? You want to be recreational? Depending on that, you set up your go-to combinations. Okay, I set up my go-to combinations. Now, for this final point, let me enter a competition mode. Let me, actually put some force into it. Because another thing about Randori, a lot of the times, you're not trying to outmuscle your partner. You want to be methodical. You want to use technique. You want to do judo. You know, can I set up with my grips, set up my throws? And I find myself a lot of the time as well, you know, when I'm doing Randori, I don't want to try to outmuscle guys. Especially because, you know, a lot of the times I'm the biggest guy in the dojo. So I have a bunch of guys in my dojo that are the lower weight classes, so you outmuscling them doesn't prove anything and it doesn't make you better at judo. So going through that process of switching from Randori judo, where you're trying to be methodical, you want to get your throws, to competition judo, where now, guess what? This is a sport. You're an athlete. Not only is it a technical aspect, not only is it a mental aspect, but it's a physical aspect. Like, if you're training for this, you know, your back is getting stronger, your biceps are getting stronger, you know, your chest is getting stronger. Show off your strength. Use your strength to your advantage. On top of playing your judo, on top of playing, using the technique, use your IQ, use what you know. And through that experience, you know, maybe you get a gold medal. I can't guarantee it. I don't have a degree in judo. I don't have no black belt. But I'm just simply speaking from experience, you know. These are the things that it's not like I sat down and made this checklist when I was a white belt, but this is what I sat down recently and thought, how did I prepare for my competition? This is what I did. And these are the results that I got. So I'm simply sharing my experience in training with you guys in hopes that, you know, the next time, because I've seen a lot of comments, people are saying, you know, I'm preparing for my first competition, you know, how can I prepare for it? How can I ensure that I do good? I think if you hit these 3 major points, if you don't get a gold, probably because the competitors are high level, but regardless of the result of getting a gold or not, you're gonna learn. And that's gonna set you up for future competitions. Realistically, the result of your first competition really shouldn't matter. It should matter, how does it change your output on the sport? Because I remember for me, after my first competition, I saw judo in a completely different way. Completely different. It's like I felt like I saw more. So if you take these 3 points in mind when preparing for your first competition, you know, I believe that regardless, you will walk out a better athlete, a better competitor, and a better judoka. So please, if you're watching this video, preparing for your first competition, good luck, best of luck, and try to think about judo this way, you know, and let me know how you guys' competition goes. You know, I love to hear stories of people competing for the first time or just competing in general. Like, if you hop across one of my videos and you just compete and you got a gold, you got a silver, you got a bronze, let me know. I love hearing about your guys' competition experiences. You know, let's keep talking about our experiences. Let's keep the community growing, because like I always say, judo isn't as big in the United States as it is in the rest of the world. So we all have a duty to keep a community growing and build on judo. You know, branch out. You know, share it. You know, get your friend, get your uncle, get your neighbor, get your grandpa doing judo. You know, let's build off of each other and let's help grow judo in the United States. So yeah, you know, keep in touch. Let me know about your guys' experience. Let me know if this thought process works for you guys. And yeah, I appreciate you guys for your support as always. You know, as of recording this video, we're about to hit 330 subscribers. So thank you once again for your guys' support. Keep sharing the videos. If you guys have an idea in mind that you would like to see, let me know in the comments. Let's hit our checkpoint: like, comment, subscribe, share. And yeah, do the little notification bell. You know, it'll let you know anytime I post a video. And yeah, appreciate you guys for your support once again, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.